Welcome, folks. I appreciate you being here and being on time. I'm Monica Smith, your Extension Educator for Food and Nutrition here in Kent County. And geez, oh Pete's, I had no idea about how important it was to learn how to shop at the grocery store until Ms. Gloria Martin and I did grocery store tours last month. And didn't we learn a lot? We learned what we didn't know. You know, you think you know it all and you know nothing. You think I'm almost 50. I should get that by now. I just need to release it. You really don't know anything ever. And we got into the grocery store with lots of different kinds of folks from all walks of life. And I'm going to try to sum that up for you in this less than 1 hour presentation. First of all, I want to let you know that MSUE welcomes everybody. We don't discriminate against anyone for any reason, anyhow, anytime, nor do we hang out with those who do. So you and your friends are always welcome to anything that we do. I modified this PowerPoint from one I found on the internet. And they had several objectives, but let me tell you what, after doing a few of those grocery store tours, one with 5 teenagers, need I say more? I think one objective is enough. Okay? I just want you to be able to maybe avoid some of the pitfalls in the grocery stores. So, we're going to do sort of a semi-virtual grocery store tour. This is what a lot of grocery stores look like, right? You know, you've got your checkout produce bakery around the edge, all the stuff in the middle. Unless you shop at like a discount store like, anybody shop at Aldi? Save a Lot? Those can be really hard to navigate, can't they? They don't always even stay the same every time you go. They move stuff around. But in most of your larger grocery stores, it looks like this. Produce. There's not much to go wrong in produce, is there? You go in the produce aisle, everything is great. As long as you've got all the money you ever wanted to have. You've got a refrigerator the size of a small vehicle, and you have everybody in your house will eat the same thing. If that's your conditions under which you're living, the produce aisle is perfect. However, it is one of the very best places in the entire grocery store to get fooled on pricing. You really have to be savvy to not get taken advantage of in the produce section. Okay, we can all do a collective sigh as soon as I finish this sentence. If you want to be effective at the grocery store, get the best out of your dollar, you need to take a calculator. Go ahead and do it. Because you really need to know what you're paying for by the ounce. If you don't know what you're paying for by the ounce, guess what? You can get home and have $5 a pound tomatoes and not even realize it. You need to use the scales to sort of get an idea. I mean, you could pick up that tomato and think, oh, that's about a pound. When I went with the teenagers, we picked up a squash, a hard squash, and I said, how much is this? And they said 99 cents a pound for this beautiful butternut squash. And I said, well, how much do you think this is going to cost? Oh, $2, $2.50, $3. We put it on the scale. That was a $9 butternut squash. It was 9 pounds. It was as big as my head. Imagine the embarrassment one could feel at the checkout if you did not have $9 to devote to squash. So have an idea before you go up there. You know, packaged produce is almost always more expensive. So if you're watching your money, that's the first place to cut. Not only is it better on your wallet, it's better on the environment, right? Plastic, styrofoam plastic, you can do without it. Here's another collective sigh. We all love the bag salad, right? Who doesn't love the bag salad? Rachel Ray has made the bag salad famous, has she not? There is no such thing as something that is pre-washed. It does not exist. They say it. They want you to believe it. There's been more E. coli breakout since the beginning of the bagged salad revolution than ever before. Anything that grows close to the ground, spinach, lettuce, cucumber, is at high risk for E. coli contamination. So, If you think you're paying somebody to make something ready for you to eat, you're really not, because when you get that bag salad home, you need to wash it. Does anybody have children in their home? They're good tearers. They'll be happy to tear. You don't even need a knife, right, for lettuce. That can become somebody under the age of 8-year-olds, their job. Here's an example. If you buy this single tomato, on the day I checked, these were $2.99 a pound, 18.5 cents an ounce. These little sweet ones, 25 cents an ounce. These down here, $2.49 a pound, about 15.5 cents per ounce. But you don't know how many ounces is in there, right? This is the case where you could end up with $6 worth of tomatoes. So even though this one right here is less per pound, if you really only need one, it's a better buy at 18.5 cents a pound, right? If this sits on the counter and dies an agonizing death, it's not worth your money. My personal favorite. Now, I've got nothing against bag salad. I don't want you leaving here and saying I'm an anti-bag salad person. I'm really not. I buy it myself. However, I am aware that I'm paying 3 times as much. Now, maybe you've got endless dollars, and that's not a problem. But if you have a large family, you're having a family get-together, you've got a cookout coming up, do you really want to pay 33 cents an ounce for that? And I can't really see what's in here all that good, can I? I can look at this one and I know if it's fresh, perfect, wilted, by far the better buy. Produce value. Most of our produce is shipped about 1,500 miles before it gets to the store. Do you think that produce is picked ripe? Anybody have a garden? Don't you have trouble getting it from the garden into the house without squishing it? Yes, you do. So I can guarantee you that tomato that came from somewhere I can't pronounce was picked green and gassed. Produce is the absolute freshest when it comes to fruition or to ripeness on the vine. Okay? It's really different. This is not ecological to buy produce from so far away, nor is it all that healthy. When it's out of season, if you can't buy locally, frozen or canned is almost always your better deal, not all for the money, but also for the nutrient value. Who in here is old enough to remember when they froze vegetables using brine? They dipped them in a brine solution and they were really high in sodium. They don't do that anymore. They flash freeze with nitrogen. It's picked, it's a matter of hours before that vegetable is frozen. It's picked perfectly ripe, it's beautiful. Height of nutrient density. The second best thing to getting it local and taking it home. Canned? Canned varies. But also very, very nutrient dense. Looking for sodium though here, right? In canned, I'll talk about that in a minute. Guess what? Organic doesn't mean healthier. Not for you. Not in produce. There's no sustained studies that show me that an organic carrot has more vitamin C, vitamin A, or fiber in it than a conventionally grown carrot. Is anybody disappointed? Is anybody relieved?
Well, the issue is the chemicals that are used in
The issue is it better for the earth? The issue is it better for the farm worker?
No, I mean, we're ingesting chemicals, pesticides.
Not in produce. You wash them. If you wash them, you're washing away. The greatest pesticide exposure that we have in our lives is in our homes. What we put on our lawns, what our neighbors spray on their lawns, what you have under your sink to fight ants, etc., etc., etc. There's nominal. There's some, but it's nominal. You'd have to eat a whole lot of produce to get the same exposure you get from putting things on your lawn. Nutrient density, no different in organic.
There's a study in the American Chemical Society that was published about 2 years ago that did actually find that there was 50% more nutrients in the organic berries that they surveyed over a period of time.
In that particular study, I can show you 10 more that are different. You know why? Because the weather makes a difference. The rainfall makes a difference. The condition of the soil makes a difference. There's so many things. Yes, this organic one could be better than this conventional one, and I could turn around and do this exact same thing in another location where the weather pattern was different, and I won't find it. Consistently, the difference is not there. Now, if you've got the money and you can afford it, it's wonderful because it's good for the earth, and it does reduce your exposure. But overall, if you're struggling to feed your family, you're trying to make ends meet. You're telling me it costs more to eat better, so I would eat Cheetos instead of a non-organic carrot. It's a much better thing to get a conventional carrot. But again, wash everything. Everything, even if it says it's pre-washed. And like I said a minute ago, it's not a value if you buy a big one at 12 cents a pound if you're going to throw it away. Bakery. Who doesn't love the bakery? Do you ever think that they pump in extra bakery smells? Okay, come on, are they really baking bread all day? Give me a break. You walk in there and you weren't hungry and then you are. Okay? If these are baked in the bakery at the store, this can be really deceiving because they don't always have the nutrition label on it. Have you noticed that? You buy the donuts, there's no nutrition label. Pretty hard. They have different requirements when they bake it in-house than when it's baked at a factory and sent to the store. But you're looking for whole grain, low fat, low sugar, with no label. Trust me when I tell you, muffins, croissants, breakfast breads are almost always more calorie dense, almost always lower fiber, almost always higher in sugar, almost always. Case in point, here's a muffin. One muffin. This one muffin, if you look at the fat, and you look at what little bit of protein you get for that, look at this, how many of that 170 is from fat. You could have had a small chili from Wendy's for a lot more nutrition. You'd have felt full a lot longer for about the same calories and fat that was in that one muffin. The bakery can really get you. Deli meats. Anything made with turkey is going to be better, right? Hierarchy. Highest fat red meat, then your poultry, then your fish, right? That's your hierarchy for saturated fat. But wow, I think Gloria and I both had a little bit of an eye-opener here, didn't we? I'm vegetarian, so it's been a while since I've looked at bologna, though I have eaten my share, right? I have older sisters who were charged with feeding me. Guess what that meant? The South, 1965. Can you say bologna and Spam? I'll get even with them yet. They're older than me. I'll have to take care of them one day. I can get even. Mush. All right? But we were shocked at some of the sodium levels in these deli products. In the meat department, you're looking for things called loins. You're looking for things with less marbling. But if you don't know how to cook them, you're going to be very unhappy with them. On the website, when I update the website, there will be a handout on there that tells you how to cook different cuts of meat. Leaner cuts of meat are by nature, are they more tender or more tough? Absolutely more tough. Do you put a super lean cut of meat on the grill? If you do, you're going to have shoe leather. Super lean cuts of meat need water. or some kind of liquid, poaching liquid, or some kind of liquid to cook with. Marbling, looks pretty, doesn't it? Tasty? Hard on your heart. If you come from a family that has heart disease, if you're a person of color, you really want to watch that saturated fat that's with the marbling. Understand ground beef. This was so confusing to me. I had to look it up like 3 times. I had to find 2 sources that finally coincided. Most of the ground beef that you get, if it just says ground beef, is usually 70% lean. That means you got this much fat in a 3-ounce patty. You know what a 3-ounce patty looks like? It's pretty tiny. It looks like a McDonald's regular hamburger. That's little for us, isn't it? Whereas if you go to 95% lean, only 6 grams of fat in that same thing. Much more heart healthy. Also, this one might be cheaper, but this one right here, you get more meat. You're paying for 30% fat. Where does that fat end up after you cook it? Probably, I hope, down the drain. Or depending on how old your house is. If you live in an old house like mine, it better not go down the drain. It better go into coffee grounds or something, or you've got Mr. Rooter on the way. But hopefully this goes somewhere, not inside your body, down the drain, absorbed in a paper towel. You're paying for 30% of something you're probably not going to eat. So though it's cheaper per pound, you're not getting a yield. You're only getting a 70% yield of meat. Here you get a 95% yield of meat. Big difference.
So they can still sell meat with all that fat and still weigh it for that pound?
It's a pound of product, not a pound of meat. Good point, Miss Zapata.
And you're allowed to put 30%. I don't know. At one time, that was the limit.
30% is max. You're not going to find any ground beef that's less than 70% lean. That's as bad as it's going to get, okay? Don't kill my spider there. Ground beef. Here's something, too, that you need to watch out for. Ground beef, just ground beef. There's nothing else in it. It's just ground beef. That's what you intended to buy, probably, right? Hamburger can have any number of things in it. It can have additives. It can have salt. It can have grain. It can have soy. It can have anything else in it. They could put all kinds of things in it. So then you're getting even less of a return for your money. Did you really intend to buy salt or soy when you bought that package? I bet you didn't. I bet you thought you were buying meat. It says meat. You thought it was meat. And that's shocking. I wonder why you would think that. But you may not be getting that. Canned goods. This was another eye-opener, wasn't it, Gloria? The canned goods aisle. Sodium, 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 sodium. Let me say it one more time. Thank you. Sodium. No added salt is different than low sodium. Everybody knows that, right? Low sodium just means it's 25% less sodium than their original product. If their original product had 800 milligrams of sodium and it's 25% less, whoop-de-doo. You're still stuck with what? 600 milligrams of sodium. No added salt means you're going to have a pretty close to a salt-free or sodium-free product. Fruits can in their own juices or light syrup. Packaging here can also cost you a lot of money. Again, double. Double the cost, exact same product, even the same brand, double the cost. Now this one you may say, I will eat all of these. They're pre-packed, I'll take them for lunch. This will not grow anything green. This will not grow anything green in my refrigerator. If I open this, I'll eat it twice and then it's... So then this is not a good value if you're going to throw it away. But twice your money and this plastic goes in the landfill, or it gets recycled, hopefully. Another word about the sodium in the canned goods aisle. Anybody have any idea why it seems that the cheaper vegetables are higher in sodium? Gives them more flavor, and you know why they need more flavor? Because they don't have to have as high quality vegetable. The highest quality vegetable will hold its cell integrity through the canning process and will hold it well. If a vegetable is less than at peak quality, Sodium helps that cell wall in the vegetable retain its turgor, and so you get a better mouthfeel. That's why cheaper, not always. I found that there were some very high sodium name brand products, but cheaper lots of times can have as much as 400 milligrams of sodium in a half cup. A half cup is not much. So you really need to look at the sodium, or you might be paying for something that you didn't intend to pay for. Snack crackers. You know, this is Jane's favorite. No trans fat, it says on the front of the box, right? No trans fat, that's a big one right now. No trans fat, zero trans fat. But then you turn it over, and somewhere on that label it says partially hydrogenated fat or partially hydrogenated oil, right? That means that there is trans fat in there. It's just less than half of one, it's a half a gram or less. Well, that's not a big deal unless that you bought those crackers just for you and you're going to eat them all, like me. And all of a sudden, I thought I had a zero trans fat product, and I have ingested over the life of that box of crackers 10 grams of trans fat. We'd love for you to have zero trans fat a day or no more than 4 grams. And you can get 4 grams pretty quick in stuff that says no trans fat if they've all really got a half a gram of trans fat in them. A lot of saturated fat in these products you have to watch. You're going to find here overall fairly low nutrient content and a fairly high cost per ounce. Because most of the crackers here, do they look anything like the original grain? Oh my goodness. They've been milled, squashed, refined, added, salted, enriched, formed. They don't look anything like a wheat growing in the field. And then they're in a box and a bag, and they're pretty to look at, and all that costs money, right?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered about the trans fat. Is it true it always stays in your body once you have it?
Doesn't always stay in your body, but your body doesn't use it very well. Your body doesn't understand what it is. It doesn't really exist very much in nature. It exists in a minute amount in breast milk and in very minute amount in other animal products, but your body really doesn't know how to process it, and that's why it's a super artery clogger, even quicker than sat fat. Your body does know what to do with saturated fat, and it will do it. And it looks at trans fat and goes, huh? Sort of like it does with non-nutritive sweeteners. Huh? I've never seen a non-nutritive sweetener grow from the ground, so the body doesn't really know what to do with it. So it is an artery clogger, but your body will eventually use it if it has no other choice. So right here is a good place to spend a lot of money and not get a whole lot of nutrition. You know, there was a time when you could walk down this aisle and find no fiber. Do you remember that? Maybe just 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Everything, this was like the white aisle, right? The white aisle. There was no whole grain pasta. There was no whole grain rice. Brown rice, you paid 3 times as much for. You remember that? That's over. It's very little more. And if you said something like quinoa or amaranth or spelt or one of the ancient grains, that would certainly be nowhere around here. They would be like, huh? So this, what you're looking for, is whole grain. But because it's brown doesn't mean it's whole grain. You know what they do with a lot of bread to make it look brown to fool you? Coloring. Molasses. Caramel coloring. They make it look brown because they think that you think that if it's brown, it's good. And for a lot of us, that's what we do, right? It's brown, it's good. And you turn it over and the first thing it says is enriched. If it says enriched first, it's not whole grain, it's enriched. It's white that's been colored. So look at the ingredient list. And know if you intend to buy whole grain, if that's what you wanted, make sure that it says whole grain. Oops. This thing right here. You know these things that are called dinner things? When I was a kid, there was only one. Rice-A-Roni. Remember that one? That was the only one. And then there came along Hamburger Helper, and it was a revolution, okay? A revolution with Hamburger Helper. But I can guarantee you, if you pick up that dinner-type product, your sodium content is going to exceed 700 milligrams per serving, almost without fail. Now, the average American eats about 6,000 milligrams of sodium a day. If you are a healthy person under the age of 40 and you're not a person of color, 23 to 2,400 milligrams of sodium would be healthy for you. If you're over 40, if you're a person of color, or if you have heart disease in your family, the CDC came out with an evil new guideline last year. 1,500 milligrams. You must go to Eden. Over 40, history of heart disease, or a person of color. That is virtually impossible in our current society if you are not very, very, very diligent. Did you know cottage cheese has got like 400 milligrams of sodium in it? It's a beautiful food. It's so good for you. It's so good for you, and that you can bear the sodium if you didn't burn it out at lunchtime with rice-a-roni. You know what I'm saying? So that's a good exchange for your sodium. It's got so much other stuff in it. It's got protein, it's got A, it's got D, it's got calcium.
What did you say the number was for milligrams for people under the age of 40?
23 to 24.
23 to 24.
Mm-hmm. Right here, I'm going to also put up on the website a handout for using herbs and spices. You've got to learn to switch your taste. Now, I went to a fascinating workshop last week called Food, Mood, and Overeating. Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. Only what she said was something I did not realize. I thought it was about a 3 to 4 week turnaround time. This woman, who has a much higher level of experience than I do, says that current research is showing it's an 8 to 12 week reset time from your brain to your taste to your craving, to cut craving, when you start reducing sodium, fat, and sugar. 8 to 12 weeks. So, that initial first 3 weeks is going to feel like what? Oh my gosh, you're going to feel like you're eating cardboard, right? Because your taste is so conditioned. Do not, if you are somebody who eats a lot of sodium, a lot of sugar, or a lot of fat, and you're trying to be healthier, do not take all 3 of those on at once. Do not. You will be unhappy, and you will make everyone around you unhappy. The thing is to gently reduce and to use your expenditures wisely, not to eliminate. But the herbs and spices, not only are they a great sodium replacer, but you know what? They've got phytochemicals. They've got good stuff in them that your body needs. They've got cancer fighters. They've got tumor fighters. There's all kinds of studies on garlic, turmeric, curry. I mean, it's not just good taste, it's really good for you. So you can create your own dinners if you know how to use spice. Ketchup and barbecue sauce can be kind of high in sugar. Salad dressings, olives, pickle, a lot of sodium and sometimes lots of fat. You want to choose wisely. Anything you can get made with olive oil is going to be a better choice. For your overall oil in the kitchen, canola oil is a better choice. Olive oil has a very low smoke point. If you try to fry with it, your insurance company will be buying you a new kitchen. When I was in my dietetics program, we had to take a quantity foods class. And 2 of the young women decided they were going to make this dish that I cannot remember. It's been a while now. Yeah, the smoke alarm went off. Evacuate the building. Wash the walls. Olive oil was the culprit. Doesn't stand up well to high heat. Use canola oil. Caffeine. Another fascinating thing at this conference. They're saying that caffeine is not addictive, but you become dependent on it, meaning you can have side effects, but it is truly not addictive. But you will have you can become physically dependent on it, where if you don't have any caffeine, if you're a big caffeine drinker, then you have the headache, and again, you turn evil. That can happen. But I'm telling you right now, this is a good place to actually spend money. If you're driving through the coffee shop drive-through, wow, big bucks. The first month, I got my debit card, you know, where you could just swipe it like the MasterCard. Imagine my surprise when I got that statement and I had spent over $50 that month on coffee. It wasn't that good. I could go out and have a really nice dinner and a movie and a little pocket money left for $50. So this is actually a place where it's good to spend your money and have it at home. A lot of tea, green tea, black tea is very good for you. It's got healing things in it. So it's a good place to spend money. Now, cereal. Does anybody get overwhelmed in the cereal aisle besides me? Yeah. Does anybody like to watch the little kids in the cereal aisle? That's fascinating. A mom, 3 kids, cereal aisle. It's like, ah! And if you'll notice, high sugar stuff is marketed at about this height and at about this height. Cart, kid sitting in cart, kid on the ground. They market this, there's a whole science. Per square foot, retail space in the grocery store is the most expensive retail space in our country. This stuff gets on the shelf. Manufacturers compete and purchase space on the grocery store shelves. So General Mills may purchase 6 feet, and Post may purchase 8 feet, and Kellogg, and it's very, very competitive. There's a whole science around grocery store merchandising. It's done the way it's done for a purpose. And I'm telling you right here, this can be the place where you could spend easy. Do you think, would you have a hard time spending $10 in this aisle? Oh yeah, you could maybe. What do you think? I saw one lady the other day. I'm terrible, I'll confess this. I'm a grocery store voyeur. I'm terrible nosy. I saw one lady last week. She had 8 boxes of cereal in her cart. That was not cheap, was it? That's a lot of money. And if they were made really good choices, it might even be a good investment, right? You can get your grain, your B vitamins, it's enriched, you can get a lot of fiber, or you can get a whole lot of sugar. So you really want to be careful. Notice, cereals are fortified by law. They're fortified equally by law. The B vitamins that they're fortified with, folate, there's a standard they have to do it. Yeah, all cereal, if you pick up any cereal, you're going to find almost exactly the same of the B vitamins and folate, because they have to put that back in, because they mill it out for the processing, and then they re-enrich it and put it back in. Most times. There's a few cereals out there that are not milled. So don't spend a whole lot of time looking at all these vitamins when you're in the aisle. Don't worry about it. We're not B vitamin deficient in this country. Spend your time looking at how much fiber does it have, all right? How much sugar does it have? How much sodium does it have? I don't really want any sodium in my cereal. Do I really need sodium in Wheaties? No, I just want Wheaties, you know? But you want to pay attention, because if you don't read the label, you have to really be good. That's why I buy about the same 4 cereals over and over again, because I get in that aisle and get freaked out, or I get real fascinated with everybody else and I'm there for 2 hours. So, you know, and I'll do my research on the internet to look at cereals and then make up my mind before I go, because all the colors and the boxes. And there's Peyton Manning. I need that cereal. That's Peyton's cereal. I'm a dietitian and they get me all the time. It's good. They're good at what they do. Here's an example. Frosted Mini Wheats and Frosted Flakes and Cheerios. Now, Right away you said, oh my gosh, look at all the calories in Frosted Mini Wheats, but look at the serving. 51 grams versus 30 grams versus 28 grams. You're getting more cereal here, right, for your serving? All right? Look at the fiber, more fiber. Cheerios, almost no sugar, a little bit of fiber, a little bit of protein. Down here, the reason that these are on the label and all the other ones aren't listed are these are the ones that we're most likely to be deficient in this country. Everything down here, they want you to have more is better. Okay? Look at the iron here. Is this a vegetarian's friend? Yeah. And surprisingly enough, sugars in this aren't that much different than that, is it? But you don't get very much. You don't get very much. In a good breakfast cereal, you want something that's got protein and fiber, or you're going to be hungry in an hour. It's just going to be an appetizer. If all you're getting is just carb and milk, you're going to be hungry in an hour. Yes, ma'am?
So you're saying the high sugar content in that is not necessarily a problem?
Depends on who you are. Are you watching your weight? Are you diabetic? It may or may not be a problem for you. Because if I'm looking at what can my body handle for this? Is this sugar worth it to me? Am I getting a good trade for my sugar? If this was 2 grams of protein, I might say no. And if this was 1 gram of fiber, I'd probably say, I'm not getting much to offset that. But when I'm getting 91% of my iron, 5 grams of protein, a good hit, 20% of my fiber for the day, maybe that's worth that sugar investment. And if having it taste a little sweet will get me to eat it in the morning, maybe that's a really good trade-off for me. Because if I eat this, I will not be up from the table before I am hungry. In fact, eating this makes me hungrier. Yes, the sodium is different too. Look at this here. If I've got coronary heart disease, I'm more worried about this than I am that, if my weight is okay. Yeah. Surprise! Happens all the time. Beverages. I coined this term while we were on our grocery store tours. WOB. Walk on by. This is the one place in the grocery store that will suck the dollars out of your pocket quicker, will put more stuff into the landfill, and as far as water goes, nobody's overseeing that. Nobody, you might as well drink that tap water right there because we know exactly what's in that. I can go on Grand Rapids wastewater treatment site and I can tell you parts per million of everything that comes out of that faucet. And it's checked every day. I know exactly what it is. This? Who knows? Okay? Vitamin water. Oh my gosh. The teenager grocery store tour. How much time do you think we spent with vitamin water? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Not regulated. Most vitamins are not meant to be suspended in water. Most vitamins need carriers or other things to make them do their jobs, catalysts. That is nothing but plain pure marketing. You're going to get more out of 2 pieces of whole grain toast than you will ever get out of a vitamin water. Money, 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 marketing, marketing, marketing. Period. I'm not really understanding why they're selling so well, but they sell like crazy. No value to them nutritionally. You know, you could save money here, and you can have your treat foods. You don't have to give them up. You know, what would life be like the rest of your life without chips? It would not probably be that great. But you can make better choices. Some have trans fats, some don't. Some are baked, some are not. Do you need to take 6 bags home, or would 1 bag be enough? Beware the single serving bag. Okay, there's a few of you in here old enough to remember the Frito Bandito. Remember him? Come on. Oh my God, I'm ancient. Well, the Frito Bandito came out with single serving bags long ago and far away, and they were, honest to gosh, I shall not exaggerate, this big, smaller than regular sandwich bread. Now, they're so big, I can put my whole hand, right? And my hand is engulfed into the bag, and it bills itself as a single serving bag, doesn't it? The 99-cent single serving bag? That is not single serving. That is triple serving, quadruple serving. So you may think that, oh, I'm just going to buy this one and I'm only going to have 1 serving. No, you're not. You're going to have 3 or 4. It's much better just to buy, for your pocketbook, to buy 1 regular size bag, take it home, portion it into baggies that are truly 1 serving, and then go with it. And if you're environmentally conscious, believe it or not, they have brought the wax paper baggies back onto the market instead of plastic ones. If you're concerned about that, yes, Cut-Right's back. They came back. So you can even buy wax paper baggies that recycle nicely if you'd like to. So you're looking for whole grain, you're looking for high fiber. Look at this. Here's a tale of 2 breads. Wow. Look at all the ingredients in B versus A. The number of ingredients in a product is always a good indicator. I mean, if you were making bread at home, would it look like this? Probably not. This one's pretty straightforward. I could pick that up and look at that and go, wow, that really is bread. I could pick that up and go, see, look, there it is. I bet it looks brown. What do you bet? There's the molasses. So it really does, not just the nutrition label, but sometimes your ingredient list is all you need to look at to put it back. This is one of my new favorite gizmos. Anybody pay any attention to this in the grocery store? Tells you a lot. Tells you if it's whole grain, tells you how much it's whole grain. If it's got this basic stamp right here, at least 8 grams or a half a serving of whole grain in every serving of that product. But it may contain some refined grain too, all right? So it could have extra bran, it could have wheat germ, it could have refined flour in it. But it's got at least a half a serving of whole grain. For this one, at least 16 grams or a full serving of whole grain. If it says 100%, all its grain, all its ingredients are there, and it is at least 16 grams per serving. This is really nice. And it's on cereal, it's on bread, it's on crackers, but not all whole grains have this stamp, because guess what you have to do to get this? You got to buy it. Okay? So, let's say I am Monica's groovy new cereal maker, and I've got a groovy, cool new cereal that I've got out on the market, and I'm broke. I can't afford to purchase the rights to put this on my cereal. Doesn't mean my cereal's not good. It just means, thank you, ma'am. It just means maybe I can't afford to do it. So don't think that everyone without this isn't good. It simply means when it's with this, you know what you're getting. Health foods. Here's another place that you can maybe walk on by. A lot of money, a lot of marketing, and if you don't have allergies, you may not need to walk down this aisle. Many of these things that bill themselves as meal replacers, shakes, oh my gosh, it's like fortified candy bars. They're not, there's nothing special about them, okay? You cannot make a cookie. If it looks like a cookie and it smells like a cookie and it tastes like a cookie, guess what? It's a cookie. It's not a whole grain bread. It's not a wonder food, because if it was, it would be on every plate in every Grand Rapids public school child's food every Grand Rapids Public School child would have this on their plate if it really existed. We have one of the best food services I have ever seen in Grand Rapids Public School for nutrition. It would be there, and I can assure you it does not exist or we would have it. Nor will you find this at your doctor's office, will you? Nope, you surely won't. Marketing, marketing, marketing. All the really super healthy foods, oatmeal, tuna, blueberries, broccoli, they're never on that aisle, are they? No, it's everything that's in a package that's highly processed, highly refined. Dairy. You never get too old for calcium, but let me tell you, butter is not a dairy product. Butter is a fat, it's not a dairy product. They put it there because it's handy. It's got a little milk in it, but I assure you it's fat. Dairy products are important for calcium, but we have a hard time with A and D in this country. You got to watch the fat. 2% milk still has 4 to 5 grams of fat in 8 ounces, which is little, right? It's this big. It's this big. So much fat can offset the value of all the other nutrients. We did a group today, and one of the gentlemen said he could drink a half gallon of milk a day. Wow. All that calcium, wonder what that's doing to his protein, what it's doing to his kidneys, and what it's doing to his waistline. Body can only absorb so much calcium at a time. It can only absorb about 500 milligrams at a time, and anything you take over that. So if you've got a 1,000 milligram calcium supplement at home, and you take one, you're probably not getting as much good out of it as if you took 2 500s. So limit your intake. You need it, but you don't need more than what you need. This is one of my favorite areas. This is another place that's really pretty, isn't it? It's all behind glass. It's so neat. Don't you wish you had a freezer at home with a glass front on it? That's what I've always wanted, is one of those glass front freezers. You can really get a lot of nutrient value in your frozen aisle. Sodium and sugar are often lower, but watch out for marketing ploys. Meal in a bag and marketing ploys. I want to tell you a story about 3 products. Here they are. I want to prove to you. Here they are. So you could see I have not compromised. Now, I want you to look. 22 cents an ounce, 31 cents an ounce, 10 cents an ounce. Look at the sodium. 700 milligrams, 115 milligrams in what's supposed to be the super healthy stuff. Only 35 milligrams here. But best of all, I challenge you. They look exactly the same. Look. This product looks exactly the same. This super fancy immunity blend is here. It's in a little packet all unto itself. This is the 10 cent an ounce back here. Really, it's exactly the same. And you know what's even crazier? See how it's in its own little plastic bag? I can't even get away from the sodium in it. It's already in there. Whereas if I go to this one, the meal starter, which also looks a whole lot like that one and that one, it gives me 2 of these. I've got the option to only use one, right? I can cut the sodium down to 350 because they've given me an option. It's not on there. So at least they're giving me a different thing. Now, this and the super cheap one, the Immunity Blend and the Fresh Like, look almost exactly alike. There is absolutely nothing in that Immunity Blend that makes it help your immune system other than A and C, which is in here too. They added one, this has got a little bit more pepper in it. That's all they've done. This one, mostly broccoli. It's got some, it looks like maybe snow peas and a few water chestnuts. This is a little pepper deficient compared to these two, but I'm telling you, virtually these are the same product. If you are struggling to feed your family, or if you have heart disease or trying to avoid heart disease, this one is probably not such a good choice. Look at how much you get in this one. $2.19, and this is it. This little thing up here. For $2.49, I get all of this. Wow. How different can they possibly taste? This one's going to be saltier. Do you have salt at home? Me too. So, nuts and bolts. Don't be swayed by the packaging. Every single thing on that package is marketing except for the nutrition label. Every single thing. The nutrition label and the ingredients label. Everything else is marketing. Know what's important to you and focus on that. What's important to me may not be important to you. But don't get caught up in the minutia. If you try to get caught up in all of the minutia, you're going to be so overwhelmed, you will flee to fast food. Okay? A lot of good information on the ingredient list. I'll give you a 20-second label reading. Everything in yellow, you want less. Everything in blue, you want more. Everything in yellow, you want 5% or less is ideal. Everything in blue, 20% or more is outstanding. 5% is considered less. 20% is considered high. And I paid about $40,000 for that education that I will share with you in 30 seconds. That's what it comes down to. It's really that simple if you don't make it a big deal. Maybe you don't need to care about vitamin A. Maybe you don't need to care about vitamin C. Maybe you're already eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. Maybe what you need to care about is sodium. Just look there. Don't get overwhelmed. It's a lot of information in a little tiny place, and they are going to revamp that. The label is under review. So hopefully we'll get a more user-friendly label in the near future. But until then, focus on what's important to you and take your calculator to the grocery store. Do some internet research before you go. You can look at nutrition labels on all these products, almost all these products. But I did find this interesting. Of these three, guess which was the only one I could find a nutrient label on the internet? The teriyaki stir fry, the immunity blend, or the Fresh Light. That's right. The other two, there was none to be had. That's why I went to the grocery store to get them, because I could find not a one anywhere on the internet. And that's what prompted me to open it, because I thought, what are they hiding? Why are they embarrassed? Then I found out. That's why. So sometimes you can't know till you open it, right? Live and learn. Thanks for coming, folks. Have a good week. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know whether they still do. Forest Hills Foods used to actually do on-site grocery shopping tours where they took you out and went aisle to aisle. And how she used to start them out was she'd take you to the cereal aisle, say, okay, choose your favorite cereal box, now read it. And people were just going,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Not what I expected, not what I thought I was spending my hard-earned money on. I thought I was getting X, and really I took home Y. Yeah, so it's interesting, and like I said, it's okay to choose a few and stick with them and do your research at home so you're not in the store freaked out. Great. Guys, have a great week. Thanks for coming. You're welcome.